Hello, everybody. What if I told you that the biggest risk in cybersecurity is not always the threat actor, or insider threat, or a cyber criminal? For me, it's the assumptions we have stopped questioning. Think about it. Every week, our industry finds something new to panic about, isn't it? A new vulnerability, a new zero day, a new ransomware group, a new AI capability that my exec really likes. And suddenly, social media becomes a war. Posts like this changes everything. Posts like the SOC is dead. And by lunchtime, there is a webinar. By the afternoon, there could be a white paper. And somehow somebody has already released a solution. Or someone is just going on a news channel marketing their own product. Cybersecurity can definitely move incredibly fast when marketing gets involved, isn't it? Then 2 weeks later, we are all talking about something else. We have all done it. Don't deny it. And meanwhile, the basics are still patiently waiting in the corner, wondering when they will become fashionable again. And that's what this podcast is about, friends. Welcome to Beyond the Illusion. I'm Kunal, aka Chip. I've spent more than 15 years working across security operations, incident response, threat intelligence, and governance. And during that time, I have learned something that took me longer than I would like to admit, being honest. That cybersecurity is not really about the tech. For me, it's about judgment. Let me explain. Imagine you're walking into a hospital. You are seeing multiple monitors. These monitors are monitoring the heart rate, blood pressure, oxygen levels of every patient in the hospital. Now imagine every monitor suddenly starts flashing red. Do you think that every patient receives the exactly same treatment or prioritization? Of course not, right? A good and informed doctor does not just look at the number. They look at the patient. They look at the history of the patient, the symptoms, the context. And for me, cybersecurity isn't much different. And please don't get me wrong. Patients and human life are the most important, right? But what I'm trying to say is we love numbers. CVSS scores, risk scores, threat scores, and our most favorite maturity scores. Do you think if there is a score for something, we will probably build a dashboard for it? Oh yes, we are. And if we are lucky, someone will make it green. And sometimes I wonder whether we are collecting these scores just because they generally help us to make decisions, or it just make everyone in the executive meeting feel a little bit more comfortable. Right. This is just information, and information tells you what, but judgment tells you why. And that's where I think the illusion begins. Somewhere along the way, I think we have become incredibly good at collecting information, isn't it? Think of it, your dashboards, your threat feeds, vulnerability reports, exec reports, risk registers, they are just information. And if collecting information, collecting data made organizations secure, our industry would have solved cybersecurity years ago, isn't it? Now, I'm not saying these things are bad. No, they are not. They are essential. But here is the question. When did we start confusing information with understanding? Right. Just because I know I have hundreds of critical vulnerability does not mean I understand my biggest risk, do I? Just because our threat intelligence platform or threat intelligence vendor produced another report does not mean my organization became more intelligent. The same way, just because my dashboard is green does not mean I can finally sleep well. Well, there are other reasons I cannot sleep well as well, but hello. And sometimes we have become really good at measuring activity instead of understanding outcomes. So if we do a reality check, let's use something that's dominating cybersecurity right now. Now, it's very unfortunate that a lot of experts within the industry considers vulnerabilities equals cybersecurity. Well, I'm not sure where they're coming from. But for me, cybersecurity is not only vulnerabilities. If you're going to patch all the vulnerabilities, let's say by tomorrow, each and every vulnerability is patched in this world, Do you really think so that cybersecurity or the threat actors are just going to stop? No. But coming back to vulnerability management, every week we hear the same thing. Patch immediately, critical vulnerability, emergency change, drop everything. And see, sometimes it's the best decision that you can make. But here's the question. If I give you a list of hundreds or let's say 5 critical vulnerabilities, could you confidently tell me which one creates the highest business risk? Not the highest CVS score, okay? It's different. What I'm asking you is, what is the highest business risk? Let me give an example. Imagine you have 2 houses. One has broken a lock on the front door, and the other has a broken lock in a garden shed behind a locked gate that has security cameras, an alarm, and a lovely grumpy dog. Technically, if you see both locks are broken, they both needs to be fixed. But what will you prioritize first? Right? So prioritization is based on the context, and context changes your priorities. So shouldn't we apply the same to vulnerabilities? A critical vulnerability on an internet-facing authentication server, which is actually being exploited, versus the same vulnerability on an isolated development server that nobody can reach. Of course, both are important. Patching of both them is required as well, but the first is important, right? So the real question is not how many critical vulnerabilities do we have. Ask, which vulnerability creates the greatest business risk today? Right? Those two are very different conversations. So before you head back or start your week, here is a challenge. The next time someone proudly says we have patched all our critical vulnerabilities, or when you're looking at your exec brief, you will see the numbers, how many vulnerabilities were patched. Yes. Ask, how did we decide they were critical to our organization? What is the evidence, or what is the equation that you're using? Was it internet facing? Was it actively being exploited? Was there a compensating control? Could an attacker realistically reach it? Or you rate a criticality simply based on the CVSS score and you started at the top because that's what we have always done? See, for me, patching vulnerabilities is an important activity, of course. But prioritizing risk is a leadership. And that's the difference where illusion lives. Thank you for listening to the pilot episode of Beyond the Illusion. In our next episode, we are going to explore something very close to my heart. Yes, you guessed it right, threat intelligence. Before I leave you on that topic, here is a question. When someone says they have threat intelligence or they have one of the best threat intelligence vendor, ask a question. Has it actually changed a decision? Or has it simply created or provided another report? I will leave that with you. Until next time, stay curious, challenge assumptions, and keep looking beyond the illusion. Thank you.